You think you've got it? Or are you thinking it's probably just like anywhere else? But in Pennsylvania, this story is far more complex. Right on the streets of Philadelphia, a place that's supposed to symbolize history and progress, there are still areas, like Kensington, where life unfolds in a completely different way. There, it's not just one or two individuals, but entire communities living, eating, sleeping, everything confined within just a few square meters on the sidewalk.
Where do you sleep out here?
Usually I go to like downtown Center City. It's a little safer, I think. And sometimes in the subway, sometimes like parks, the benches, stuff like that.
Across the state, there are about 14,000 people experiencing homelessness. Among them, more than 2,600 people are living on the streets, in parks, along train tracks, without a warm blanket or a roof over their heads. But the issue isn't just about the numbers. Homelessness here isn't simply the result of rising housing costs or someone being forced out of their home. It's being pulled in multiple directions at once by the addiction crisis and by major legal decisions at both the national and state levels. And in the middle of it all is an increasingly tense conflict between urban order and the right of people to exist.
There's basically a bunch of rich kids living right next to Camden.
Go on a cop with their parents' money.
And it was like, everybody did it. It was boring. So all we really did was get high and get drunk. That's me. Exciting, basically.
Most overdose deaths in this state involve extremely powerful synthetic substances like fentanyl. And the frightening part is, many people don't even know exactly what they're taking.
Well, because there's people jonesing to get high and they're dope sick. And they do just about anything to get what they want, you know what I mean?
New substances like tranq leave users almost completely unable to control themselves. You might see people slumped over in the middle of the street as if they've been frozen in place. Authorities have cleared encampments multiple times. Support facilities like Riverview Wellness Village have been open to provide treatment. Community events like Sleep Out continue to raise millions of dollars each year to support people experiencing homelessness, especially children. And yet, many still return to the streets. The cycle keeps repeating. So, in the end, is this a housing problem or an addiction crisis? Or both intertwined?
My daughter texted me last week and said, I just want you to get clean, and it's really hard. It's really, really hard. I miss my kids. And instead of being with them and being a mom, I'm out here being a junkie, It's difficult.
And more importantly, is there any way to break that cycle? Stay with me, because what's really happening here might not be what you expect. The number is simple. About 14,000 people without stable housing in Pennsylvania. But that number hides the reality. This isn't temporary, it's growing. More people are stuck outside longer, weeks, months, sometimes years. Nights mean cold exposure. Days mean finding food, staying safe, avoiding trouble. This is survival, not just being homeless. Go straight to Kensington. This is one of the most well-known street-level crises in the U.S. People live right on the sidewalk, sleeping, eating, injecting within a few square feet. Entire blocks function like open-air zones where everything happens in public. Kensington, zip code 19134, isn't just another neighborhood. It's the largest open-air survival zone on the East Coast. This is one of the most notorious street crises in America. People are living directly on the sidewalks, sleeping, eating, shooting up in spaces no bigger than a few square meters, where tents are packed tightly together along the railroad tracks, McPherson Square, and Allegheny Avenue. Tents, needles, and the relentless destruction caused by fentanyl and tranq turn every single block into a brutal, vivid, real-life case study of what happens when housing, addiction, and zero options collide head-on.
People are crazy out here, for no reason.
Now zoom out to Philadelphia. The city has cleared encampments multiple times. Police move in, tents are removed, people are pushed out. Some are offered shelter or treatment, but many come back. Same streets, same cycle.
Because if I'm still getting high within 6 months, I don't want to be alive.
You clear the street, but where do the people actually go? And then there are the rural counties, places with almost no shelters, no public transport. If someone loses housing there, they don't end up in a visible encampment. They disappear into cars, woods, abandoned buildings. Harder to see, harder to help. There are efforts. Facilities like Riverview Wellness Village were built to treat addiction and stabilize people. Community events like Sleep Out raise millions every year to support homeless youth. But here's the reality. Demand keeps outpacing help. This isn't one city failing, it's a system running slower than the crisis itself. So what you're looking at isn't random. It's a pattern. High pressure in cities, hidden collapse in rural areas, people moving in cycles, street, shelter, treatment, back to street, over and over again. The 2026 PIT count is still rolling in, but insiders already know the trend line isn't bending. You think all the grants and programs are finally working? The numbers on the ground don't lie. The streets are still packed, the tents are still up, and this is the unfiltered technical reality of survival in Pennsylvania right now. Here's the hard truth insiders see every day. Pennsylvania's homelessness isn't some mystery. It's a straight-up housing math problem that hits like a freight train. Only about 39 affordable rental units exist for every 100 extremely low-income households. Rents have jumped 46% in 5 years, while wages crawled up just 26%. That gap turns regular folks into statistics overnight. One missed paycheck, one surprise medical bill, or one rent hike, and you're out. That's the brutal trigger, sending thousands straight to the sidewalks and train tracks right now. On top of that, evictions are hammering families hard. Landlords file fast. Records stick forever, and good luck finding another place with an eviction on your name. The result? People end up in tents because the system punishes you for falling behind in a game that's rigged against low wages. You think addiction and mental health are the main drivers? That's the easy story outsiders push, but on the street, insiders know they're brutal accelerators, not the root. Fentanyl, tranq, and medetomidine rip through already unstable lives, turning temporary hardship into chronic survival mode with rotting wounds and non-stop withdrawal. Yet without the massive shortage of cheap housing, most of these people wouldn't be sleeping rough in the first place. The most vulnerable get crushed fastest. Families with kids, folks with disabilities, and working poor scraping by on minimum wage. One financial shock, car repair, lost hours, anything, and the whole house of cards collapses. Rural counties feel it too, just quieter and with even fewer services. This setup sparks real debate. Are we treating a housing crisis like a personal failure problem? The numbers on the ground say the math doesn't lie. When decent shelter costs more than full-time work can cover, the streets fill up fast. That's the raw, technical reality fueling Pennsylvania's ongoing survival grind. The game changed hard in June 2024 when the U.S. Supreme Court dropped its ruling in Grants Pass versus Johnson. Cities can now straight up ban sleeping and camping on public property, even if there's zero shelter space available. No more cruel and unusual punishment defense. That decision hit Pennsylvania's streets like a sledgehammer. Overnight, clearing out tents went from risky to routine, and you're seeing it play out in real time with bulldozers and police tape. Pittsburgh moved fast, ripping down encampments along the rivers and rail lines, then installing hostile architecture, spikes, boulders, bars on benches to make sure nobody comes back. Philadelphia talks a softer game, but still clears Kensington camps when complaints pile up. The result on the ground is brutal. People scatter into smaller, harder to find spots, often deeper into woods or under bridges, making survival even tougher in winter. But here's the pushback that's got everyone arguing. Shelter First Act, HB 2028. As of April 2026, it just cleared the House Judiciary Committee. The bill says you can't ticket or bulldoze encampments unless you prove adequate shelter is ready, no time limits, accepts families, pets, disabilities, the whole package. Insiders are split. Some call it a much-needed shield against criminalizing poverty. Others say it ties cities' hands while camps grow. Local rules add more pressure. Pittsburgh runs targeted sweeps on dangerous or high complaint sites. Philly tries outreach first, but still clears when things get too chaotic. Bottom line, the legal war is real, and right now the streets are the battlefield. One side wants order and clean sidewalks. The other wants basic human dignity before punishment. The raw technical reality? These court fights and bills directly decide who sleeps exposed tonight and who gets a cot. The outcome will shape Pennsylvania's survival game for years. Cities and the state are finally throwing real money at the problem, but insiders on the ground will tell you it's still a messy scramble. Pennsylvania is pumping millions into new shelter beds, expanded treatment programs, naloxone distribution, and fentanyl xylazine test strips, hundreds of thousands handed out every year. Philadelphia rolled out wellness court, pushing treatment instead of jail time for low-level drug cases. Outreach teams hit the streets daily with vans full of supplies, trying to pull people from tents into actual beds before winter slams them. Sounds good on paper, right? Yet the hard numbers show overdose deaths dropping sharply, a real win, while the tents on Kensington tracks and Pittsburgh riverbanks keep multiplying. So are we winning the survival fight or just slowing the bleed? On the treatment side, they're scaling up buprenorphine and methadone access, hitting rural counties harder than before. But here's the raw truth. Only about 3 to 4% of people who desperately need help actually get into solid long-term programs. The rest stay stuck in the brutal cycle, withdrawal on the sidewalk, rotting wounds from tranq, and another night exposed. Now the big question dividing everyone, if Shelter First Act becomes law, will it force real solutions or just protect the chaos? Insiders are split hard. Some say it's the only way to stop criminalizing poverty. Others warn it'll let massive encampments grow unchecked while taxpayers foot the bill. The outlook is mixed and tense. Overdose numbers trending down is solid progress, but homelessness keeps climbing because housing production still lags far behind need. If Shelter First passes and pairs with aggressive, affordable housing builds, Pennsylvania could finally bend the curve. If not, expect more sweeps, more scattering, and more people grinding through another brutal winter on the concrete. The street-level survival game is still wide open. The next 12-24 months will show whether these moves are real fixes or just expensive band-aids. The pattern is brutally consistent. Someone loses stability, job, housing, support, and ends up on the street. Exposure increases. Stress builds. Then comes substance use, or it gets worse if it's already there. From there, everything compounds. Health declines. Decision-making weakens. Risks go up. Short-term shelter or treatment might interrupt the cycle, but not long enough. Many leave programs early or relapse, and then they're right back outside. Same streets, same pressure. Look at areas like Kensington. You can literally watch this loop in real time. People disappear for a few days, maybe into a program, then reappear in the exact same spot. Not because they want to, but because the system isn't built to hold them long enough to stabilize. And once someone has a record, or loses ID, or burns bridges, the path back gets even narrower. The real question isn't how people end up here, it's why they can't get out. Now, recent trends show something interesting. Overdose deaths have started to dip slightly in places like Philadelphia. That's largely due to wider access to Narcan and faster emergency response. On paper, that looks like progress. But step back, the number of people on the street isn't dropping at the same pace. In some areas, it's still rising. What's changing isn't the crisis, it's the survival rate. Fewer people are dying, but that doesn't mean fewer people are trapped. So the system adapts just enough to keep people alive, but not enough to break the cycle. What you're seeing in Pennsylvania isn't a single problem, it's a system under pressure from every direction. Housing costs, addiction, policy decisions, and limited resources all collide in the same space, and the result shows up on the street. Places like Kensington aren't outliers. They're just where the problem becomes impossible to ignore. Yes, there are efforts. Shelters, treatment centers, outreach programs, they all play a role. But right now, they're reacting, not keeping up. The system can stabilize people briefly, but not consistently enough to change outcomes long term. So the real issue isn't whether help exists, it's whether it's strong enough, fast enough, and connected enough to actually break the cycle. Because until that changes, the pattern stays the same. People fall, get pulled back for a moment, and then fall again. And the street keeps filling. You think you've got it? Or are you thinking it's probably just like anywhere else? But in Pennsylvania, this story is far more complex. Right on the streets of Philadelphia, a place that's supposed to symbolize history and progress, there are still areas, like Kensington, where life unfolds in a completely different way. There, it's not just one or two individuals, but entire communities, living, eating, sleeping, everything, confined within just a few square meters on the sidewalk.
Where do you sleep out here?
Usually I go to like downtown Center City. It's a little safer, I think. And sometimes in the subway, sometimes like parks, the benches, stuff like that.
Across the state, there are about 14,000 people experiencing homelessness. Among them, more than 2,600 people are living on the streets, in parks, along train tracks, without a warm blanket or a roof over their heads. But the issue isn't just about the numbers. Homelessness here isn't simply the result of rising housing costs or someone being forced out of their home. It's being pulled in multiple directions at once by the addiction crisis and by major legal decisions at both the national and state levels. And in the middle of it all is an increasingly tense conflict between urban order and the right of people to exist.
There's basically a bunch of rich kids living right next door to Camden.
Going to cop with their parents' money.
And, it was like, everybody did it. Was boring. So all we really did was get high and get drunk. That's me. Exciting, basically.